Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway. Listen to the Broadway Beat. Broadway makes you want to move your feet. Everybody's tapping into everything that's happening on Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, where we bring you the very best of what the New York theater scene has to offer. This week, it's Bonnets, Brits, and a bit of Fosse. We'll bring you highlights from the 23rd annual Easter Bonnet competition, which was recently held at the Minskoff Theater. This two-day Broadway spectacular is where over 20 Broadway, off-Broadway, and touring companies sing, dance, and don original Easter bonnets to help raise money for BCEFA. We'll also drop by Circle M Square to meet the entire cast of Alan Ayckbourn's comedy trilogy, The Norman Conquests, and speak to the show's director, Tony Award winner Matthew Warchus. But let's start things off by giving you a look at the latest star to join the hit revival of the John Kander, Fred Ebb, and Bob Fosse musical Chicago at the Ambassador Theater. It's Sofia Vergara, one of the hottest Hispanic TV stars. She steps into the role of matron Mama Morton for a limited engagement through May 24th before she hits the road in the national tour.
Come on, baby, why don't we paint the town and all that jazz and all that jazz. I'm gonna rouge my nails and roll my stockings down and all that jazz and all that jazz. Start the car and a whooping spot where the gin is cold and the piano's hot. Just a noisy hall where there's a nightly scrawl and all. Got a little motto, always sees me through. When you're good to mama, mama's good to you. There's a lot of favors I'm prepared to do. You do one for mama, she'll do one for you. They say that life is tit for tat, and that's the way I live. So I deserve a lot of that for what I've got to give. Don't you know that this hand washes that one too? When you're good to mama, mama's good to you. No, I'm no one's wife, but oh, I love my life and all that jazz.
The critically acclaimed London Old Vic production of Alan Ayckbourn's comedy trilogy, The Norman Conquests, has come to Broadway's Circle M Square for a limited 16-week run. We recently caught up with the entire company, the cast, the show's director, Tony Award winner Matthew Warchus, and the Old Vic's artistic director, Academy Award winner Kevin Spacey. The Norman Conquests comprises 3 full-length plays, Table Manners, Living Together, and Round and Round the Garden, which are ingeniously written to be enjoyed individually or as a trilogy in any order. The Norman Conquest follows 6 characters: assistant librarian Norman, his wife, in-laws, and the local vet from Saturday night through Monday morning. We watch as desperate Lothario Norman attempts to seduce his sister-in-law Annie, charm his brother-in-law's wife Sarah, and woo his estranged wife Ruth, during a disastrously hilarious weekend of eating, drinking, and misunderstanding.
When I started at the Old Vic, now 6.5 years ago, it was the first plays that went on my list of plays I wanted to try to do in my time at the Vic. Then Matthew started to talk to me about how much Ayckbourn meant to him as a young man, as a director. I mean, you used to go and see his plays in Scarborough, and there seemed to be a great synergy and a fit in terms of the way that Matthew wanted to attack the plays, and the respect he had for Ayckbourn as a writer. Because I think it's been somewhat easy, because he's been so popular and he's written so many comedies, for people not to put him in the category of one of the great playwrights that you would if it was a dramatic writer. But even Chekhov, who we think he is most like, called his plays a comedy, And so ultimately it was a long gestation period of convincing Alan to give us the rights, because he hadn't given the rights in 35 years. There had not been a production of Norman Conquests in London or in New York since the one that you saw. And after trips to Scarborough and lots of emailing and letters and phone calls, Alan finally gave us the rights. And it was an ambitious thing to do, not just one play but 3 plays. Even more ambitious when Matthew came to me a year before we started and said, I really wish we could do them in the round. But I believed in the idea so much. I believed honoring the way they were originally written and done would be such an event that we reconfigured the Old Vic Theatre for the first time in its history into a theatre in the round. It worked brilliantly. And we decided ultimately when it came to New York we had to continue that tradition. And so we're incredibly excited to be here.
And for you, Matthew, what attracted you to these?
I grew up near Scarborough in the north of England, where Eightbourne lived and worked, is still there for many years, more than 30 years. And I've always been really taken with that brilliant mixture in his writing, the mixture between extraordinary sort of gut laughter, big, hilarious extremes, absurdity, and the very accurate and sort of like devastatingly precise sadnesses, shade, the shadow, the loneliness of some of his characters. That's a really brilliant mixture. That is Chekhov, and I love those sort of contradictions. And so for me, it was a question. I'm so grateful to Kevin, because this has absolutely been the highlight of my directing life, I think, working on these 3 plays. And it was a question of finding the right 6 people to inhabit these plays. And we're really fortunate. We have an incredible cast, and who knew that they would all be available to come to New York as well. So we've been able to bring the entire thing intact over. And I hope, those combined elements plus the in-the-round experience will make it as unforgettable an event here as it was in London.
You know Norman?
Yes, I know Norman very well.
He's not a bit like Tom. Norman doesn't bother with secret signals at all. It was just wham, thump, and there we both were. On the rug. Rug! Yeah.
Which rug?
Well, the brown nylon fur one, in the lounge.
What is it? Why are you laughing?
Well, does it matter which rug?
I don't think it's funny.
I play Norman, who is a librarian, married to Ruth. Norman is a lively character, desperate for the approval and the acknowledgement of women. I spend my time trying to seduce every woman in the play, with varying degrees of success at various times.
And your character?
Ruth, married to Norman, glad that she is in a way, but fighting it all the way too. I think she thinks that he's only interested in other women, and I think he thinks that she's only interested in her work. So they're weirdly jealous of each other. But there is something good, there's a big attraction, but they're in a battle the whole time.
And talk about what you love about the plays in general, when you first read them and when you started working on them at the Old Vic.
These plays have, they're hilarious for a start. Anyone who's seen in the Eightbourne will know how fantastic he is at writing comedy. But the real surprise for me on reading them was the depth of them, the shades of sadness, loneliness, of people trying to make connections with each other. You find yourself laughing one minute and crying the next. They're remarkable. I think they're an absolutely remarkable piece of work.
They're very good on family too. This weekend is a weekend where all these disparate family members come back to the headquarters where the mother, who you never meet, is upstairs. And so they play out not only sort of fresh yearnings and desires, but also there's old stuff, old pain. And they're brilliantly structured, so just when you have a little bit of poignancy, you have a comic set piece, a dinner or a game or something which is really deliriously farcical, and then he just reins it in again. So the shape of them is amazing, the way they're built.
Come on, Reg, get on with it.
Yes, I'm trying to get on with it. Now, the police can spot the criminals as follows. They have 3 police cars, which are these. Now, police cars can run on the roads, but not in the buildings.
That's a relief.
Look, do you mind? Now, police cars can see up to 20 spaces ahead of them, up to 4 spaces each side, behind them, and they cannot see round corners.
Why can't they see behind them?
Because they can't, that's why.
Motto, don't drive behind a police car.
No, what do you know about knobs?
Well, I'm a very dominating woman, and I quite enjoy playing that because she's quite a fiendish character, really. She upsets the balance of the whole family. She pushes people around and bosses them around. She's not overly likeable, I guess. But I suppose we have some sort of relationship, I think, and we sort of muddle along. I don't think it's entirely her fault. I'd like to say that. I think that probably he is a bit of a difficult husband and is in his own way as well.
Yes, he's. Thanks for that. Yes, Reg is. Reg is apparently a rather sort of henpecked husband, but I think he does his fair share of pecking back. They're one of these couples who. We worked hard on looking at what it was that drew them together in the first place, and it's fair to say that they have 2, Vincent and Denise, their children. And I think both of them find it very difficult being parents together.
And what you love about the plays themselves?
Well, one of the things I love is actually working with the actors here and working with people like Paul, who, when you're playing some of the dialogue that we have is just fantastic. It's one of the highlights of my career, because you just, I haven't said that to you before, but it's just, I love it, that sort of thing. And I love the language, and I love the naturalness of it. He writes so brilliantly for characters. It just flows. It's wonderful to play, and I think it's wonderful for audiences because they can see themselves, they can see their auntie, or they can see their, sort of mother-in-law. And I've had letters saying to me, "You're just like my mother-in-law," so that's what's great about it. They're very, very real characters.
Absolutely. I mean, the comedy is so wonderful in these plays, and yet the characters are so real and so three-dimensional. And to work with this extraordinary ensemble is, for me, a great highlight too. So.
I think I'll go to bed in a minute.
I'm amazed you 2 are still together.
Well, I think other people's marriages are invariably a source of amazement. They usually are to me. I mean, you and Sarah. I have found quite often it's the people you look at and say, well, they won't last long, who cling on grimly till death. Maybe they're so aware of public opinion they're determined to prove it wrong. You and Sarah, me and Norman, and Annie and that Tom man.
I play Annie, and she is a sort of a woman who lives with her mother. Her mother is ailing, her mother is ill, and Annie has, for various reasons, I think, decided that she's just going to sort of look after her. And I think partly it's because she needs to, but I think it's also partly because there's a part of her that's just quite fearful of life in general. She's kind of low self-esteem, low confidence, for various different reasons. And she's kind of got this bit of an unhealthy dynamic with her mother. It's a bit sort of codependent, it's sort of, but you don't never see the mother. The mother's just this sort of ominous presence upstairs. And the really only other person in her life in any significant way is Tom, played by Ben, who is a vet. And he can explain to you a little bit about the relationship.
About veterinary surgery. I play Tom, the vet. I live quite nearby Annie in the same village in which the play is set. And I spend a lot of time at Annie's house. I sort of hover around, I fix things, I do odd jobs, I look after her pets. I'm kind of infatuated with Annie, I think, but I'm unable to do anything about it or express it. It feels very much like a kind of 13-year-old's crush on another 13-year-old. Do you know what I mean? It feels to me like a very kind of adolescent, inexpressive, emotionally constipated obsession. And therein lies the comedy and the tragedy of Tom, of the character, and of the relationship between my character and Jess's character.
Wait, how's that car of yours running?
Oh, no complaints, no complaints.
Well, that's funny because my next door neighbour, he's bought one of those, same year, same model as yours. He's had a lot of bad luck with it.
Has he?
Yeah, he done what? I mean, 800 miles, barely run it in. He's starting up this fairly steep hill in fourth. Changes to third, he's got a big lorry behind him, big lorry in front of him, finds he needs to change to second, and then whack! Whole gear stick comes off in his hand. Yeah, there he is. Stuck in third gear, lorry there, could have been last.
The Minskoff Theatre played host to the 23rd annual Easter Bonnet competition, which benefits Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. This two-day Broadway spectacular marks the culmination of 6 weeks of intensive fundraising activities, and several awards are given. It's where over 20 Broadway, off-Broadway, and touring companies sing, dance, and don original Easter bonnets.
When I signed up for this Easter show, which it pleases me to do, I said, Broadway, don't you bring me no bad news. We can drink a toast to better days if you paid your equity dues. So Broadway, don't you bring me no bad news. 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 Broadway, don't you bring me no bad news. No bad news. 'Cause Obama's finally president. What have we got to lose? Broadway, don't you bring me no bad news.
Well, Liza Minnelli is in the opening number. We have Jeffrey Rush and Andrew Martin introducing the judges. The judges include James Gandolfini, Hope Davis, Jeff Daniels, Marcia Gay Harden from God of Carnage, Brian Darcy James from Shrek, a slew of folks. And Jane Fonda is in the 33 Variations number, which is just extraordinary. And we have some amazing numbers from a lot of Broadway shows. And the marvelous One Dress off Broadway.
The animals, let's talk dirty to the animals. Up yours, Mr. Hippo, piss off, Mr. Fox. Go tell a chicken to suck my dick and give him chicken pox.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Simard. I'm from Shrek the Musical. I play the Wicked Witch. I also happen to be the director of our sketch this year. It was conceived by myself and Rachel Stern and written by Greg Reuter, Ryan Duncan, and the two of us. I have a wonderful cast who's worked really hard with many rehearsals to put this together. Our fundraisers were Jen Cody, Lisa Ho, and Amy Garcia, and our bonnet was designed by Heather Jane Rolfe and John Tartaglia. And our sketch this year, being the first time Shrek is here in the Broadway community, a DreamWorks' first time on Broadway, we thought it was very important to be to make fun of ourselves, you know, and what the rumor is about our show. So all I can say is it's a gas, and we thought we would see and experiment what it would be like if we brought Shrek's magic, that magic secret ingredient, to other Broadway shows in these tough economic times.
Under the sea, everything better, down where it's wetter, take it from me.
I'm Tony Mansker. I'm from the Broadway company of Mary Poppins, and our skit is called I Think We Need a Tap Number Here, and it is a comedic exploration of adding tap into shows where there probably shouldn't be any tap at all, such as we're doing the prologue of West Side Story, we're doing Some Enchanted Evening, Walk Like a Man from Jersey Boys, and for our big finale we're tapping to Defying Gravity from Wicked.
And if you're flying solo, at least I'm flying free. Too low to ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them how I defy gravity.
I'm Isaac Calpito. I'm in the cast of West Side Story.
And I'm Hector Lugo. And I'm Hector Lugo from West Side Story, Wardrobe.
And our skit was conceived and directed by Mike Cannon, who's also in the show.
And choreographed by you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I did the brilliant choreography at the end. And
fierce.
Although it was a debacle yesterday, it's going to be amazing today. And
you didn't have to tell him that.
What? I keep it real. David Grevengud did our Bonnet, which is brilliant, and it's sort of like a Palace Theater homage to Liza Minnelli. And
Honey, a bunch of Gap kids jumping around ain't gonna scare me off. Gap kids ain't gonna scare me off. How do you fire this gun? Just by pulling this little trigger. Is that all it takes? So.
that was actually amazing.
I'm Jen Cody. I'm from Shrek. I'm in charge of fundraising for our show, and we did very good. We raised, I think, $140, maybe. We're hoping for a prize today. But we did, besides the regular buckets, we also sold freak flags so that people could wave their freak flags. We had I Love Duloc buttons made, and we sold those. And Brian Darcy James, who is the most generous man alive, would stay after the show and do pictures on stage with 5 people every night for $200 a piece. So not only did he come to the show for an hour and a half to get into makeup, do the show, but then would stay after at least a half hour to do these pictures with people. So he helped us a lot. He is the king at our show.
Now, you have done so many of these. Give me your history with BCEFA and Little Sally and Officer Lockstock are back again. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we started it during Urinetown. It happened. Our leads, who actually played the roles, were unavailable for the first one. So Don and I, who are the understudies at the time, we stepped up and did the first. I think it was a Gypsy of the Year, and it just kind of rolled from there. And now the show's been closed since 2004, and we still do it. Every time they call, they say, "Okay, you guys going to come back?" And we're like, I don't know if people want us to keep coming back, but we get together about 2 weeks before and write a skit, and hopefully it's funny, and we keep our fingers crossed that first night that people don't throw anything at us. But, you know, it's fun. We love it. Don flies in from Wicked Tour to do it. So it's terrifying and scary, but fulfilling. So.
Oh, but there are plenty of stars out there who've never suffered from too much exposure. Take, for instance, that Malcolm Guest. He just completed one of those 24-hour amusements.
Oh, story of my life.
And when Kristen Chenoweth just published her autobiography, where she claims she couldn't love her dog more if it came from her own vagina.
I always wondered why she named that dog Summer's Eve.
Hi, how are you? My name is Dave August, and I'm in Naked Boys Singing. Our number this year is a little bit different. We're doing a serious piece. It's about drug addiction in our community and how that still can lead to HIV and AIDS. And we just want to make people aware that that still exists, and that, you know, even though things are better now, we still have to look out for people around us in our community and make sure that we take care of them. The number was put together by John Paulillo, who is our choreographer, Craig Lowry. We all kind of worked together on it. Eric Potter's singing it beautifully. And the bonnet was designed by Craig, and I actually made it at home. Lots of sparkle, glitter, and foam core, so that's fun.
You're keeping me down. Something always brings me back to you, but now I'm standing strong.
Well, and what's really amazing is we have Doris Eaton Travis coming back, who's 105. We met Doris when she was a mere babe of 94 in 1997 at the New Amsterdam Theater, and she's basically come back every year since, and she is truly our lucky charm. And she's dancing this year with the cast of Billy Elliot, with the ballerinas.
your loving arms way out in space. Then you leave the eagle on with the silent grace. Put your foot way wrong and bring it back. And that's what we call rolling a jack.
And now, for the top Broadway show fundraiser of 2009, raising $183,547, more than any play or musical, is the company of 33 Variations. Well, we can't wait. Here, take the little princess. Sit. Stay. Glasses. Nice assistant. All right, are you ready to kick some ass? Stay. What are you waiting for? An invitation? Come on, let's get ready. Diane, boys, aren't we forgetting something? That's more like it. Yes, there we go. Well, obviously, you did your own shopping.
$3,407,858.